I'm Arax Sargsyan, and I haven't made an animatronic creature yet.
So, what is this podcast, everybody? Sam?
Sam.
What is this podcast?
Do you remember?
No, you got it.
We haven't made it yet.
We haven't made it yet.
There we
go. That's haven't made it yet.
Haven't made it.
Films.
Indie Not,
Is what is making it.
That's us. Indie Not Films haven't made it yet. I'm Hayden Garrett.
I'm Yannick.
And I'm Sam.
And today we're talking to Arax. And Arax, you're going to, first of all, what do you do? What's your job description? You do something monster-y?
Yeah, like in general, I'm an artist. I have a fine arts degree, but I moved here to make monsters.
Moved here to make monsters.
And that's my goal.
That's why a lot of us come to LA.
I'm a huge monster fan, so I'm definitely here for monsters.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And Yannick has a question as our icebreaker today.
Okay.
Can't believe you put the idea for this on me, but we're gonna do three monsters. Fuck, marry, kill with monsters. Are you familiar with this game?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll go first.
I never played this. We don't play this in Armenia. So.
But
cool.
are you familiar with it or not?
Yeah, I
Okay.
know.
Okay. I'll go first. I would kill from annihilation, that like bear creature thing. The
bear creature.
Yeah, that thing's terrifying. Kill that. I feel like the easy answer would be the lady from Splice, that like human form monster, because she's a human form, but I don't. That's too easy. So I think I'm for the fuck. I'm gonna go with the creature from. I think you should leave. That little creature.
Have you played this game before?
Isn't that what it is?
No, the game is you
list
ask,
three.
You list three, and then
You
she then
list three.
answers. See, Arax knows.
Okay. Somebody else go then. And somebody gives me. I guess I don't know how to play this game.
That's okay.
But I guess Monsters
I
Touch
just know
is like
which
this,
monsters I want to.
That's a weird. And for me, the weirdest to kill the monster.
So
it kind of doesn't align with me.
you can't. Yeah, but you're creating them.
You create the monsters, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, monsters are such a subjective term. You know what I mean?
Are we the real monsters? Who's the real monsters?
I was just saying, yeah. I mean, like, it could be like, but also it could just be like evil people internally,
Okay.
emotionally.
Yeah.
So what are
the corporate elite?
So are we coming up with three monsters? Is that the game?
Let's do that. So there's three of us. Let's
Okay, so we're each
all
coming out with a
come
monster.
up with one monster.
I'll do my favorite monster, the alien, the Xenomorph.
There we go. And
That's
Sam.
my favorite too.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Monsters? I mean, the gremlin, like the little
Oh
gremlins
God.
from Gremlin.
Well, I know what I'm killing.
Okay.
And let's see. I'm gonna just go with the old-fashioned Frankenstein.
Classic.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. That's a tough question.
Choose wisely.
Okay. Kill Frankenstein
Oh,
to end his suffering.
That's very nice of you.
Marry the gremlin and fuck the Xenomorph.
well, that
okay.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like Frankenstein would make a good husband.
I
actually
with
kind
you.
of
I would
agree.
do that too.
I was also thinking Mary Frankenstein.
Have you seen the old 1931 Frankenstein, the black and white one?
Yes, it's been a while, but yes.
Yeah, when he accidentally kills the kid.
Oh,
Just
maybe.
wanted to play and
So don't have
throw
any
the kid into
children
water.
with them.
no.
You'll love them and pet them and keep them forever.
Yeah, plus always Frankenstein, I kind of feel sorry for him, you know? He
Yeah.
didn't ask to be that, and he doesn't function really well, and it kind of makes me sad. So why not end his suffering?
True. He wouldn't
Then
help
in the
around the
kill
house.
We're really getting our values in marriage out right now. Like,
It's like a partnership. It's
Yeah.
like, that seems tough. You're right. That is didn't consider.
Okay, Hayden, what are
Okay,
the other ones?
that's our icebreaker, right?
Well, but did
Well,
Yeah.
no, let's
Well,
finish
you
it
have to
out. You
finish
gotta
it,
finish
right?
it out. Okay,
you
so
do your three.
I do my 3.
Yeah.
For me, yeah, I would definitely fuck the Xenomorph. I feel like there's a lot of holes there.
Okay.
What? Can I not say that?
Yeah, considering what Giger was inspired of, yeah.
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 Considering, yes. And then I don't like gremlins, so kill that. And then Frankenstein. You know what? We just won't have kids. I feel like he'd treat me well, and he likes long walks on the beach, and I feel like we vibe together.
Okay.
Okay. I think I would fuck Frankenstein. I think you guys have convinced me that as a partnership and marriage, I think that is, we're not going to match in energy. It's just not going to be, I just don't think it's going to work out. I would definitely kill the gremlins, like for sure. Yeah. Like
Did you kill them?
yes, I did. I thought about it more and I was like, I feel like it would be fun. Like, I think my first thought was marriage, but I was like, they get too much, and that's the energy is just, again, vibe off. And then I think they'll get annoying. It's just they gotta go.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess so. Remaining would be
Xenomorph.
marry the Xenomorph.
That's a lot of babies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, like, conscious. I could do something about that.
I don't
Does it
think
work?
A lot
that
of
where-
space for the eggs.
Yeah. That's a huge house.
Also, if I'm like marrying them, I don't have to like.
Okay.
Procreate.
Well, this has been great.
This is
Got
great.
it?
Enjoy. I hope you all enjoy this episode. Let's get to it.
Wait.
I don't get to say mine.
No.
Wait,
turn.
okay. Yeah, I thought you did. You started with the.
Well, mine are the same as yours, so it's easy. I think that Frankenstein's the only one, the closest one to having a conversation. So I feel like that's an essential.
He listens.
He listens. I would feel, listened to. The gremlins are just annoying. Water, really. Kill those guys. And I mean, yeah, like you said, Geiger, put a lot of eroticism into that thing.
Yep.
Oh,
So,
yeah. And I can't wait to talk about it.
here we go.
I'm sorry, Arax. Really.
No, you're good. Well, making it for me is never stop learning
Yeah.
and never stop and be satisfied with everything you have done. Not in a bad way, but just do more and push yourself, get out of the comfort zone and do more.
Almost like making it isn't even possible, or you're always making it in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. Doesn't exist.
it's a
No
weird
limits.
loop.
The cycle continues, and I mean, you talk about this too, but it's the second you make something, you're already in the process of wanting to make the next thing. So I mean, but that's a true artist.
Yeah, but it's. I mean, I don't understand people who do something and they're like, "Well, this is the best thing that I could ever have done." I genuinely don't understand that. Well, good for them, but I don't understand that for personally me.
Yeah. I saw on your Instagram, under one of your posts, I don't have the exact quote, but it was something around the lines of creating is the only way, or something like that. And I like that.
Oh yeah, I kind of remember that, but I don't remember where which post.
I don't remember which one it is either. I was just looking through your post
It was
before.
back in 2013.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know,
deep dive. It's like a deep
I don't think so.
Yeah. And I posted something similar recently, so I was like, that's pretty cool. I agree with that.
That's. I mean, that's what life is about,
Yeah.
Some
the only
people
way.
do it other way. Some people do it in like science, in household,
Yeah.
and some people do it in art.
Hayden, say your quote that used to like to say during
with
this answer.
Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Of Denis Villeneuve, the guy who made Dune and the new Blade Runner. He's always asked what's his favorite movie that he made. And he says my favorite movie is the one I've yet to make yet. He didn't say it like that. He yet. I haven't made it yet.
I haven't made it yet.
I wonder how I got this idea of this podcast. But it's I just love that idea of like, for number one, I'm sure with the way that he does art, I'm sure he can't watch his past stuff. I'm sure he's like he's such an artist where he just gets angered at all the things that he sees, all the flaws. And so I think that's how he copes. He copes with trying to be better by just constantly thinking about the next thing, because he knows the next thing will be better. It's never going to be how he wants to make it, but it's going to at least be better than the last one.
Yeah, I understand him.
Yeah.
No, I don't make big stuff like he does, but I completely understand him.
Not yet.
Yeah. That's kind of the word that we like to shove into every sentence on this podcast.
Yeah. I'm from Armenia. I moved here a year ago, hoping to make monsters. And yeah, basically that's my passion, to create, like to do concepts, research, come up with new species of beings, and try to find solutions how to make them. Though I don't have, I haven't made many of them, but I have a bunch of drawings of various monsters. Recently, I figured out like that I've graduated from 3 or 4 art schools, technically. That's a lot. Yeah. I went to like when I was 10, I went to the first one, so I was studying drawing, and then I went to another group with another person as a teacher, and I was into more like conceptual and modern art, because my teacher was the one who brought in modern art to Armenia. Got into university, graduated, I have bachelor's in fine arts. And then I came here and I studied in cinema makeup school. So that makes it 3, 4, technically 3.
When did monsters come into the picture?
Oh, they've always been there. When I look at because my mom saved all of my drawings when I was a kid. So when I look at those drawings, those are like kind of simple animals like cats and mouses and dogs. Yeah, but they had like multiple heads, hands, like centipedes. So they were always weird. And when I was like 4 or 5, I got a book of Greek mythology as a present, and I got carried away with all the creatures. And I remember the moment I saw I don't know if you're familiar with the Etruscan chimera. It's like this creature with a lion head, there is a goat head on its back, and there is a snake tail, which is a snake, and it breathes fire. It's a weird creature. So I saw the sculpture in the book, like a photo of the sculpture, and it was that. That's the exact moment when I was like, wow. And I kept drawing. I have a lot of drawings when I was 5. Like I was drawing that chimera creature. So yeah.
What do you think is your kind of connection to these beings, and like kind of the obsession that you had when you were 5 needing to draw this? Was it something that you felt connected with them, or you were afraid, so you almost had to like draw them into your own existence?
I don't think I was afraid. I don't remember being scared of them. It was more like natural curiosity, because I loved animals. I always loved animals, and my mom is a zoologist, and she taught me since I was a kid to love every like little insect. And I get shocked when people are scared of insects. You know, that's the type of childhood I've had. Catching insects, looking at them. My mom was explaining how they function, whatever, like regarding animal kingdom. It's to my mom, thanks to my mom. So it was interesting for me, because you cannot see those in the nature, you know, but people were talking about it. There are books about it. And it was more, as much as a kid can think about stuff like that. I was curious. It was the curiosity first place. And when I grew up, I went to art school and I started drawing them. And I remember my first drawing was a dragon because my teacher was like, "Hey, draw something for me. I need to see like how you do that." And I was 10, so it was always there. When I grew up and started drawing them, till this day, the most interesting part is making them function in their habitat, like hypothetical habitat. So that's fun. It's like a fun game to play for me. Somebody comes up, "Oh, can you make a mermaid?" And you start thinking, okay, a mermaid, in what kind of water do they live? What parts of body do they have? What does, how do they breathe? Do they have gills on their necks, or will it make more sense to put the gills on the ribs because humans have like lungs which are inside the rib cage, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a game for me. And during my life, I always wanted to do something that I like, and I don't get bored of, because I get bored of stuff really quick. So this is like a game for me, in a good way, not in a bad way.
Why is the Xenomorph your favorite monster?
Ooh, because it's creepy. I like how creepy it is. This is a lame answer, but I'll explain. So all the biomechanics, it's not like we have many monsters with biomechanics, like many famous monsters, right? And it's very interesting how alien looking it is. Alien, I mean, like strange, non-human, and at the same time, how human looking it is. And that fucks with your brain. That's the idea of making them scary, to give them some features which you are familiar with, but they can like act and be completely different, which will freak you out. For example, arachnophobia, right? People are scared of spiders and insects who have like many legs because they don't know how they will not function, but move, how they move, what is their next move. And bringing something like human in it, in that idea, it makes it brilliant. So it serves its purpose.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I also think what you said about matching the monster to the environment kind of did remind me of that creature too. The way in the Alien movies, the way it kind of interacts with its environment, the way it creates those nests and stuff like that, and people become part of the wall when it infests some of the Marines, and yeah, it has that too. The way it interacts with its environment, I think, is very cool.
What did you think about the Covenant when they got infected with the Xenomorph thing as spores? You remember that?
I thought it was kind of boring. I thought it was like so visceral the way they got infected before, and so like dramatic and like, because the whole idea is there's like these like symbolisms of like rape, perhaps, and stuff like that, and spores are just so anti that idea, and the aliens are so scary because they're essentially visually raping their victims with the thing coming out of the mouth, and the like creatures jumping on your face and like injecting something into you, and it is very terrifying. And the spores are not that.
Yeah. I wanted to hear that.
What's your take?
I was not disappointed, but it was like kind of, I don't want to say degrading, I don't know the right word, but it shouldn't be like that.
No.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
What so we have Alien that has been like kind of an inspiration, the Xenomorph. What other, I mean, would you say all of these kind of classic monsters have been kind of guiding you in this trip of the monsters that you create, or do you just kind of think out of this world, trying to think something new?
Or do you still also incorporate like the influence from your early childhood, like the animals and your environment around you?
I do. That's the number one inspiration, like the nature. You cannot go further than that. You have everything in here. And as I mentioned before, it's a fun game. Take this from trees, take that from like mammals, take other things like from insects, combine it in the right way, and here you go. It's fun. You should play that game sometimes.
It's called Spore. EA made it. It's Spore about 10 years
It is a
ago.
fun game.
Do you do a lot of research
Yeah.
beforehand, like to understand, like, for example, like, I mean, I'll take the lungs as the example that you were saying before. It's like different anatomy of these different creatures that get so different. Like if you want to take example for like a fly and cross it with like, I don't know, like a bear. Like, would you like do some research beforehand? Like, what is that
course.
process going into all of that?
Of course, I would research. It also depends on what am I doing. Sometimes I just sit and I just come up with something and research in the middle of like drawing a piece. I research, I add it to the drawing, or sometimes I just research and that inspires me to start something new. But the research is an essential part of it.
So would you say your monsters would be like anatomically, like if we were to bring them to life, they'd be like, this is their lungs, this is their body, this is how
Yeah,
they.
I try to do that. So here's one of the latest ones. It's like
Cool.
Arax is
mermaid
currently,
thing.
she's showing like a mermaid, a really cool, like alien-y, mermaidy.
It's something different.
Yeah.
The head has like some.
It's like a hammerhead shark.
Yeah. Oh.
That's so
That's
cool.
beautiful. Do you mind us just taking screenshots of these? We can post
I
them on
can
Instagram.
send you photos.
That would be awesome. Check out our Instagram for some Arax content.
This was a collab. This was a collab with my friend who we started this together. I did the concept and we started sculpting, and she took it off from there because me and Hayden were working and I didn't have time to be much involved in this. And we did the makeup yesterday at Midsummer Scream convention.
Oh wow.
It's not the same because there were some issues with the materials and our foam runs were not good. So we didn't have the face pieces, but the tail and the gills are the same.
How's the process with you collaborating with other artists in making? Because I can imagine like when you're drawing and making this thing that lives in this world, I could imagine someone being very stern and like, this is how it has to be. Is there a lot of like argumentative between like how you want something to look versus how another person wants something to look? How does that go?
So I haven't done this as like job.
Yeah.
I've just done collabs with sometimes with different artists. It's not that much either. This was like the first serious collab I was doing with somebody. And we started in school. Like I met my friend Pauline in school, and when we graduated, the school suggested to do a demo at Midsummer Scream, and they gave us the budget. And we're like, we will never be able to do something with this budget because it was very low and the materials are expensive. But we came up with this, like, it would have worked if the foam run was good. That's the sad part, but it came out pretty good.
You mentioned before, so you started out with drawings first, right? That was your
Yes.
kind of your first step in art school. So when did other mediums come into play? Because I know you mentioned that you did makeup school, right? Like prosthetics, I say on your Instagram. So how did you get from just going to pen and paper on a page? What steps did you learn to eventually get you to a place where you're now making these drawings come to life?
I did almost everything. I started with regular drawings. I learned all the materials for drawings. Then I did easel paintings. You know what easel paintings are? Like printing, like scraping the metal, dissolving it in acid, and then printing. Sculpting, I did few sculptures. I'm not a sculptor, but I enjoy doing that because it's fun. It's like doing the same thing, but in 3D. It's fun.
And these are all through schools, like throughout school, the different schools that you've been to, they taught you how to do this, or it's just kind of on your own that you've just started incorporating it?
No. They taught me all the mediums. They taught me all the mediums except makeup, like from what I do. So the main thing in my school, the first couple of years, as I was a kid in kids group, it was like drawing. And then when I went to this other person's, his name is Samvad Bagdasaran, to his classes, it was more sculpting, not sculpting, fabricating, finding solutions to materials you cannot find, because you cannot find a lot of materials in Armenia. The most important part, like to learn how to give the idea, to give the concept to what you do. Because as I mentioned before, he was like a conceptual artist, and as you know, like conceptual art is all about the idea of the piece.
This is such a niche and unique job that you have. I'm wondering how many people are out there that are doing what you're doing, which is kind of being part of the idea creation, but then also having the ability to use hundreds, I'm sure, of different mediums to make the actual creature. What's the scene like? How many are you seeing? The same 10, 20 people, or following the same 10, 20 people on Instagram? Like what's the community like?
Actually, in here, when I moved here, it was a shock for me, a cultural shock, that I can sit or talk with people who do the same thing. And, I've never had that in Armenia, because I have a lot of good artist friends, but they're like in completely different part of art. They don't do creature design. They don't make monsters. And I was kind of feeling, that part of me was kind of feeling lonely. And when I came here and I went to Monsterpalooza, like the Son of Monsterpalooza last year, and I was like, whoa, there are a lot of people.
Wow.
Because you guys in here have the industry for it.
Yeah, and it's just like everybody pooling into one place.
Yeah.
Explain. I mean, I guess that's a huge difference from you moving to Armenia to LA. I would say honestly, that's a huge change, moving to any place to a major film hub, of just seeing all these people. But what are I guess I have a two-part question of what kind of brought you over to LA from Armenia, and then the second part being, what are some of the differences that you've noticed?
What brought me to LA?
Yeah.
That's your question? Yeah, it's the industry.
How was going about doing that?
Like, what was the process? You realized that this was the only place you could do what you wanted to do, so you made a plan to go here. And what was that plan? What was the process?
It wasn't the only place. So the process was weird, because I didn't finish answering the other question about how everything led to makeup, etc. So this is part of this question too. It was weird. The process was weird, because by that time I was working in news agency, and I was doing graphic design, infographics and stuff, which is not about me. It's very boring for me. And I was researching schools because I wanted to have another degree. And I came up to this school in California, in LA, called Cinema Makeup School. And it just see the lack of industry. I'm not saying Armenians don't make movies, but the lack of specific genres in a country, it just doesn't give you the options of I can make monsters for a living, I can do special effects makeup for a living and make it interesting. And it just clicked, it's, this is the perfect medium to bring something you design on paper to life, attach it to a human being, and then it's alive. That was by that time, it was the perfect thing for me. And I started applying to scholarships, which the first 2 years I didn't get. I made the Xenomorph costume, I did a cosplay of the Xenomorph for a scholarship contest. I made it till the end, and it was with voting. It was with public voting and stuff. I won the public voting, but the judges had to give their last voice, so somebody else won the scholarship. And then I tried one more time after that.
We were very impressed.
Yeah.
We saw the photos, and
thank you.
Yeah.
It was so polished. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were all nerding out.
Long ago. And if you know what materials I used, you will laugh. It's
I
They
told him
use
you'd say that.
nothing of those in here. Nothing. It's all house remodeling materials.
I love
Seriously.
that when you showed me the xenomorph that you made, the photo of it, and that's the first thing that you told me too, where it's like you essentially, in my eyes, I see just a xenomorph. I see like a perfect like interpretation of a xenomorph, and you're like, the materials weren't good enough though. They it's just like it's such a, you're such an artist because you're always seeing the cracks in the piece.
Yeah, because it was an amazing experience. Like it was my first project that is big enough, which is not digital, you know. Because again, I was in Armenia. Nobody asked me to make something like that for work. And it took me like 50 days of testing materials, building stuff, which I've never done before. And it was like, again, a game, you know?
Wait, that was your first attempt at making something? Like
It was my first play.
Like in terms of oh my gosh, first attempt. It's okay. It's like incredible. If you haven't seen it, it's literally like so sick.
It's definitely going on our Instagram.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely check it out. It's
Thank
insane.
you. I'll send you photos. Yeah, it was a fun process. My first teacher, we had studios next to each other, and he helped me a lot with like advices and stuff. And we were experimenting something together. Me and Vahag, his name is Vahag, and we were just sitting and thinking how the dome should be done, because there is a dome on the original Xenomorph head. You know that there is a real skull in it, like a real human skull in the original creature, and then there is a translucent dome over it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what vacuum form is. None of us did. It would have been so much easier to do it with a vacuum form. Do you know what vacuum form is?
No, what is it?
So it's basically this big machine. It has a vacuum under it. It has holes in it, and there's a heater on the top of it. So you attach a piece of plastic. You put a shape or something or sculpture or I don't know, like dentures. We used to make like dentures like that in school. You put that. You let the plastic melt, and when it starts to hang, you just pull it down, and the vacuum like sucks all the air from it. So it replicates the form of the object that was there.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
You can like separate it. So making the head dome with a vacuum form would have been so much easier, but we had to experiment for 2 days. Like we were just sitting there at night and we're like, okay, let's try this, let's try that. And we made it with like, it was pantyhose and glue.
Wow.
So it was, from the beginning we started, he was like, why don't you do it from pantyhose? I was like, okay. So we did a test on this bowl, like ceramic bowl, and we were testing glues. Like we used 4 types, I think, not in cosplay stuff, not in costuming. It's just like very technical. Yeah. So it's just pantyhose and glue. And it's very stiff, and you can take it out and you can see the skull under it.
Do you find yourself like doing a lot of like problem solving? Like I feel like even though I know now you have like a more vast experience in like makeup and prosthetics and such, like, and probably have more materials accessible to you. But I just imagine that this whole process always is going to be like troubleshooting, trying to find creative like solutions to issues. Is there a particular time that you can recall that was like a real like nail biter, like something you really had to like figure out? You're trying to make this monster, and like this is the uphill battle that you really had to get creative.
See, I haven't made much monsters. That's why I moved here, to be able to do that and afford that. But during my other jobs, like with Hayden, yeah, it's all problem solving.
That's the only job. That's all it is. And I mean, in art department in general, Arax was in art department, and I at first thought I couldn't do art department because I'm not an artist. But it's like most of art department is here's 10 problems today that you have to solve in the next 2 hours.
And it changes all the time, and you have to give solutions. So that's the biggest problem solving thing. Because you mentioned makeup. I'm not an applying makeup artist. I went to the school because later, after the Xenomorph, I applied to another scholarship and I won. So I had a scholarship. That was my first number one thing for moving to LA. I came here, I studied and now I'm slowly getting into the industry.
Well, not slowly, but definitely getting into the industry. What
Yeah.
What are you hoping? Do you have any? I mean, I'm sure you have creature concepts that you're like waiting to get them into something. What? I guess that's the question. Where you come up with a concept of a creature, what do you do with it then? Do you have to pitch it for a movie that is looking for a creature, or do you have to revolve that movie around that creature?
It's easier to pitch it for games, I think, like computer games. I've never done that because I just like do the concepts and I'm like, okay, this is done, move on. There is nothing I stick to. I want to do this, I want to do this, because I know when the time comes and I need to do something like this mermaid, which I didn't manage to do, I'm gonna come up with something new, because I never like what I do. You know what I mean? I love the process. I love all the steps, like from researching to doing the final thing, and a day passes and I'm like, well,
Yeah,
okay,
move on next.
It could have been better. It's never very satisfying for me. It's weird, but
I have kind of a little bit more hot button question about AI making art. Do you use, or have you used AI to help you arrive at a concept, or are you completely against AI? I know there's a big feud between AI and concept art for obvious reasons. That's a contentious matchup.
it's a good question. I'm not against AI at all. It's a brilliant tool to help artists. But here comes another thing that people don't use it as tool. Most of the people don't use it as a tool to help them.
The final product.
But people who are not involved have not been like to art schools. It doesn't matter. The art school doesn't matter. People who are not putting their time and energy and effort and everything, their soul into something, start to generate like images and saying, oh, this is my artwork. Oh, no, it's not. You didn't do it. You didn't. You just wrote your prompt and it just generated for you. It's not your artwork. It's a perfect, brilliant tool. Seriously. I never generated creatures. I tried to generate some of my dreams. It was weird. Because it would take me like a lot of time to do a painting of like a scene from my dream, and it's always not satisfying to bring something from your dreams here to draw it, because it's not the same. Whatever you do, it's not the same. And in the beginning, AI it still does. It looks dreamy, it feels like there's a lot of like images, information. You can find like spots of different images like combined into like the final artwork. It's very dreamy, and that was my only hope. I was like, damn, I need to try this, but it didn't work for me. Though I did some experiments too. I generated some textures, which I used like in a couple of digital drawings, just the texture.
I find it interesting for using it to kind of get out of your own head a little bit. For example, I was trying to come up with this creature and coming up with just seeing what like essentially another person, quote unquote, this computer is coming up with, just to get you out of your way of thinking, and then seeing those very different versions of it and being able to take that again and bringing it back into what you made, like a space elephant. And then you obviously instantly have your version of that in your head, but then, that's such an abstract thing. What are other versions of that? And then borrowing from that. So I think it's cool that you think it's a resource, because I can see it.
It is. It's interesting because when it wasn't, when people were not AI generating stuff, not images, it was before that. Like it was before the NFT hype, like 2 years ago, I think. No, almost 2 years ago. Yeah. The NFT hype was just getting in. I got into that field with my friends. I was making like collections for other people. I was just doing like digital illustrations. And one of our programmer guys, he was into AI. And all of our breaks, all of our lunch times, he was having conversations with me like, what if I make this AI which will draw instead of you. I'm like, go for it. And we were talking about it, and it's like, it's gonna take your job. I'm like, it's not. Because there is one thing that you can prompt the AI to do, it will do it. It can look like my drawings, like it can look like my style. It depends on what database you put into it, right? But there is one thing that he was arguing with me all the time, and he was so interested and invested, and he was like, no, I want it exactly to think like you. I'm like, you cannot do that, because you guys are forgetting one thing about like computers and humans. Like, humans are emotional and they get inspired. Like, make AI get inspired from something. You can put a lot of database, right? Like everything. You can put everything, every single word, every single music, like everything. But it will mix and create something based on something, but it's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really hard to mimic an imperfection, kind of, you could say.
Yeah.
Like, we love Monet and those artists because if you look close, you see how messy and not photo-like it is, and sure, an AI can do a Monet-style painting, but the idea is to mimic that imperfection and that question mark on the painting. Why did that happen? And that coming from an emotional place is you can't do. A computer can make something perfect, but it can't make something.
It can give
curious.
you a final result. Like, it can give you a really good final result, but that's not. It doesn't have any price. I'm not talking about money. It's,
Yeah.
it's flat.
It's not.
It's flat.
Yeah.
It's empty. That's why it's an amazing tool to use for artists.
Yeah.
For non-artists too, but don't go there and sell it as if it's your artwork. That's what pisses me off. That's the only part that pisses me off.
Yeah. It'll never help you understand the human condition the way an artwork that a human created, as the saying goes.
That's another perfect example of how, like, people, whoever I talk to, like, I have a lot of programmer friends, and whoever I talk to, and they're like, oh yeah, it's to help you guys, artists.
Yeah.
It's a good tool for you. I think I understand, but people use it to put artists in a lower position, saying that, oh, this can do what you can do. No, it can't. It's completely different.
Yeah.
If you just need like something unemotional, flat, with no story to it, like, real story, not chat GPT story again, generated. But yeah, those are like the two radical sides.
An interesting time.
Yeah.
I think people always crave humanity, like a human, like, at the end of the day, it's like art is there for like almost in a way, I know this sounds probably stupid in a way, but it's like a human to like connection.
Yeah.
It's like you're touching something that like someone else has been a part of, and now you're a part of that. It's just another way of building a community. And I think in a way that AI is not going to be able to provide that in a way that just artists will always do. I think about that with like writing as well. Like, I think you can come up with whatever scripts through AI generators, whatever, but I just think at the core, people will always crave human connection above all.
Yeah. And just like context of like when I look at a Monet or when I look at like a movie, I'm checking when it was made, who made it, what cultural significant, what was pop culture at the time, and how all of those things kind of revolved into maybe asking the question as to why this person decided to make this movie in the first place or this painting in the first place. And that's just it loses all of that context when an AI does something, because it's like it was a click of a button from billions of photos.
I didn't like the Red Hot Chili Peppers until I read Flea's autobiography, and then I thought it was great. The same thing kind of with movies. The story that an AI came up with it is only cool once, and after that we're looking for, why did they make it this way? What are the people behind it?
Plus, there is something interesting. I was just thinking about it. You know, have you been to museums and have you ever seen like a particular art piece that made you emotional?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
What was the thing that made you emotional?
I honestly can't even say.
See? Yep, I was thinking that you can. I can. I never imagined if I see Michelangelo's David, I would sob like a baby. Because I never gave too much significance to it. He wasn't one of my favorite artists when I was growing up. I knew him. I respect. He's amazing. Don't get me wrong, but
Hey,
you know,
Michelangelo's great and all. Hot takes.
I was more like into Dürer than into Michelangelo.
Say it again.
Dürer.
I don't know if I know him or they.
Uh, Albert Dürer. I don't know if I'm pronouncing. I don't know how you guys pronounce some names. Wait.
How dare us Americans? You mean Jorre?
No.
An Italian guy? What was it?
No, it's Albrecht Dürer. So okay, his famous painting is this.
It's a bunny.
It's a bunny, and it's an amazing
Dürer.
bunny.
With an
It
extra
is.
foot.
I love this guy's paintings and art when I was a kid. So I went to Florence one day. I was like, okay, like the original David is here. I have to see it. You know, I just have to see it as an art student, as somebody whose teacher was like obsessed with Michelangelo. Like, I have to see it. I went there. I got the ticket. I got into the gallery, and it was just there. And I started crying, and I don't know why. I seriously cannot figure out why. It's not something I wanted to see for years, you know?
Yeah.
No, it just made me cry.
And there doesn't really need to be an explanation. It just needs to
No.
just understanding that you had a connection at that moment and that place and time is valuable in itself.
Now, question, can you get that connection with AI? Considering that it's unemotional, a computer, which is brilliant. Again, it's a brilliant thing.
It's tough. Not now.
No, I just keep thinking back about like the whole like community part. Like I think that for me is like one of the biggest things. Is just like when you're going to see like a piece of work in like Europe, it's just like that is history. You're literally like that had to that happened for whatever the modern day art or whatever as we know it. It shaped part of it. It may not like directly, but like whatever you're involved with, no matter what part of like the community that you're in, it does shape one versus the other. Like there's other, I do believe that. And I feel like it's something greater than like, you know, than this individual situation. At least that's how I would feel about it. It's just like AI, it isn't. It's just, it's so new. It's just like instantaneous enough where there's not enough depth for me. And
That's what I'm trying to figure out for myself. I'm not talking from a position where I know everything. It's just like a discussion for me, you know, because it's interesting. Where is the border of art and not art in that case?
Yeah.
It's very weird, and it doesn't have a shape, you know. It's weird. We'll live and see what it turns into, but considering like movies and sci-fi books, it's not gonna lead to anything.
Yeah, we're giving them great source material once they form consciousness to be like, oh, I wonder, I've never seen Terminator
I think
before.
they already did. Today, my friend's mom was telling me like, I work with ChatGPT, like I generate some stuff, and now it started like assuming things, like not answering my questions, not doing what I told it. It just does its own way. So it's gonna be fun.
That's awesome.
I heard because of some battles raging legally, they actually dumbed it down by like 30%. I mean, don't quote me on this, but I heard that like, I don't know, Europe or whatever, somebody passed some law that was restricted it, so like we have to make it more stupid. Which is interesting. They're like they're gonna internationally like all the laws and blah blah blah, how that's all gonna play out.
It can't make us look bad. But Arax, I do want to ask, talking about where this kind of plays, where Michelangelo plays in history and everything, where do you and your art, where do you want to be placed in this art bubble that we call Earth?
I never thought of that. I mean, I would love to have something in like iconic movies, you know,
Yeah.
when a kid watches it growing up, they're like, oh my God, I want to make monsters.
Mm.
You know, I don't want to do something that will be in the museums for centuries after me. No, I don't care. Because usually most of the people that go to museums and look at those works are boring. I don't, I'm sorry.
Yeah, wrong target
Most of them
market.
are. Most of them are. No.
If someone gave you an unlimited budget, like what is the creature that you would want to make like tomorrow?
Oof. There'll be a huge animatronic piece walking in the streets.
Just
Do you
see it on Sunset. Just
Yeah.
do you have
Like stepping over the buildings, like that big.
Whoa.
That'll be fun.
do you have like an idea of like what it would look like besides just the whole walking part aspect of it?
No.
Just
It depends if I want to scare people or make them think, oh, this is so pretty. You know, it's like different,
Yeah.
different things.
Why? I don't know, Yannick, if you want to explain a little bit of your screenplay, if you want to get into that, where he's making something that has a little bit of a monster in it.
Yeah, I kind of want to figure out still the details. It's a creature that it's a horror. It's a group of people that get stuck in a house. Monster traps people in house, classic kind of a thing. And it's just supposed to be kind of fun horror with like a little bit of a A24-ish, alien-ish, psychedelic-y angle to it. And the monster is based on the Rat King, which I'm sure you're familiar with, the creature, the Rat King. And the problem that I'm trying to solve with it, it's probably going to be kind of like an exoskeleton skull-looking head, and it has like a big cloak, and it walks, it's like really bony and big, has a big hide, and it kind of walks on all fours, kind of like very big hind legs, so its head is quite low. The problem I'm trying to figure out is it's supposed to drink gasoline. That's how it keeps itself alive. And I have to figure out, is that a trunk? How does it attach itself to the car and suck gasoline out of a car? Because that's also the mechanic of how these people get trapped in the house, is it drinks the gasoline from all the cars. And that when it gets injured, because they run it over, it gets injured, and then later it drinks the gasoline and kind of revives from that. That's kind of its source of fuel.
Why the gasoline?
I think, well, it's a medieval curse, a medieval creature, and the gasoline has this like ancient rotting quality about it, and I like that to be part of the lore. It's drinking from the earth, it's coming out of the earth, this old bones of dinosaurs, and it has like this ancient quality to it, and also just to keep the kids stuck at the house because it's just a good plot function too.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen that before. I haven't had a creature. I've never seen a creature that drinks gasoline. So
Yeah, I mean, if we incorporate the gasoline effect on his body, like go deeper into the concept, like what it does to his body, how does his body look like based on the chemical substance of the gasoline.
Yeah.
Have you thought about that?
I haven't thought much about it. I've just been writing the story, so I've just kind of pushed it into whatever corner I needed it for it to work for the story. But as I finish the story, these are gonna be questions.
Yeah, and what's
address.
the backstory of the creature? So if you start like doing all that stuff, it's gonna get more like the image of the creature is gonna be more clear in your head.
Yeah.
And it's going to be
And again,
more alive.
It's a game. It's a game.
Yeah.
Play with it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to talk more. Maybe we can even, have the coming out with this be some sort of something. I don't know. Conversations about it. I feel like it could be interesting or not.
Yeah.
Either way, you seem like a cool monster person. So
Thank you.
we'll touch base on that perhaps in the future.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we kind of heard a little bit with you of kind of where you want your future to go, but in about 5-10 years time, what are you hoping to see career wise, life wise, in the path that you're taking?
Okay, for many years it's been like I've been thinking and then thinking yes and no about having a school.
Having your
In
own
Armenia.
practice.
Yeah, school slash shop studio
Okay.
where kids can come and do whatever they want to do.
That's
And nobody
beautiful.
tells them, you're not supposed to draw this, you're not supposed to draw that,
That's
or make
awesome.
this. Hey, you want like a corn monster, corn creature, I don't care, make it, you
Yeah.
know? And just do the same as my teachers did when I was like into dark stuff. When I was a kid, they were like, oh, it was my teacher who introduced me to Giger when I was 12, I think,
Hmm.
or 14. No, I was 14, 15. I'm sorry. I was doing like regular monsters, and he asked me, like, do you know Giger? I'm like, yeah, I know the Xenomorph. Because my mom is a huge horror fan, like all that stuff. I get that from my mom. Thanks, mom. I was like, yeah, I know that. And he was, nope, I need more, like, not the Xenomorph. Don't tell me like the basic stuff. Tell me more. Like, I don't know. I was like, get out of here, go learn, and then come back. And it took me like a week. I didn't go to art school for a week, and I just figured it out, came back, talked to him, and he was like, okay. You know, just not saying you're not supposed to do this, but just pushing your limits. Go get more involved, go get more like information about it, educate yourself. Just help kids with that. Whoever wants to do it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
You get to push the next generation to make wild and crazy things in the process.
Yeah, plus I was thinking that the school would be fun to have different classes of filmmaking, script, directing, art department, etc. So the final product can be a film, which was made in the school with those people. I think it would be fun.
Definitely sounds like a
go.
fun creative jungle, like, you know, in terms of playground.
Yeah.
Like it just
The monster playground.
it's-
yeah.
Not only monsters. It's not about monsters. I'm not going to force anybody to like that or do that. You know, just do whatever you like, but do it good.
Creative freedom. That's awesome.
All right. And the second part of the question is this podcast is a time capsule. We're recording you and your thoughts and opinions and where you're at right now. We're going to send it to you in the future. With that being said, this is your time to record a little message for yourself in the future, 5-10 years from now. Talk to yourself.
You
Give
know,
yourself a
I do
message.
that every year. There is this website.
Oh,
to write
I think
an
I've heard about
email.
this. Yeah.
It's a really fun thing to do. Well, I'm just curious next year or like sometime after, where will I be and what I will be doing. I just like, I know that I will put like all my effort into it. It's just like the curiosity. I don't have anything to say to my future self. To my past self, yeah, a bunch of stuff, but to the future self, no. So, yeah.
What did you
I'm
say?
just curious.
What was in the email, if you're willing to share?
It was just a message to myself, like, hope that everything worked out. And it worked out. That it's beautiful, like reading that from your past self. So I hope everything works out. Next time I hear this, I hear me saying this.
Yeah.
Well, I hope so too, and I think you got a lot coming for you, and it's only gonna get better because you're in the place where it all happens.
Yeah, I hope so.
It was I miss you, Arax. It's been a while.
I miss you too.
was-
Let's hang out when I
Yes,
come back.
just when you come back. But it was really nice
Yeah.
talking with you.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Same,
doing this.
same.
That's great.
Same, it was fun. Thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully catch up soon about more monster stuff. And yeah, enjoy the flight.
Yes, enjoy your trip. Have fun.